Hey and welcome, it's Amanda here. Welcome to Material Mondays, and this is just a way for me to work through some of my fabric projects, and you can very welcome to join me in the journey. So I've been doing stitch projects over time, and you will see some fabric art projects on the platform, but I wanted to get back into it in a bigger way. And so after I'd finished my art foam stamps, which I'll link below, I did a series of handmade foam stamps, and this is what I went out and brought as a congratulations to myself for finishing. And also just I wanted some, this is a better purchase than chocolate, although I don't know, neck and neck there, but I wanted to reinvest back into the work that I was doing, so I needed some bigger hoops. I had previously bought some threads that I wanted to try. Now these are crochet threads, but I wanted to see how they would fare in some embroidery projects, and I've already found that you need embroidery thread, but I'll still be using these because I don't have these colours, and they were a reasonable price, and it will also mean that I do have crochet needles that I can use. So what I wanted to show you today was, just some of the basic materials that I've got, and maybe how I kind of approach my fabric projects. So I'm very much an experimentalist, and will look and see how I can use different fabrics and colour different fabrics, either with conventional dyes or handmade dyes. And some of the tools and supplies obviously that you'll need are needles, and so I've got different containers with needles here, and different sizes. I've got some pins in here as well, and there's thread in there. So this is one of the little containers that I would kind of take around with me. This is a metal, it's got a magnet, a really powerful magnet at the bottom, so I put in all my pins in here, and there's some other stuff I need to kind of have a sort out, and so that sits on there, but because I've got pins in here, it's kind of magnetized. I have a little, let's move these out of the way. So I've actually got 5 or 6 embroidery hoops. These are the ones that are present at the moment. So these are the 2 new ones. This is the one that I would use for most of the projects, which are quite small. I've got a smaller one, but it's stuck. It's stuck on a shelving unit. I forgot to take it off when I was putting the shelving unit together, so it's I can't take everything down. So I've got this little pouch that I travel back from my studio to my front room and back, and I have a selection of threads. Again, it's so the point is having a selection of threads, some needles and pins. And this here, which a lot of the threads are attracted to, was an experiment, something that I was experimenting with. Some burlap, some beading, and a recycled sculptural piece. And let's come in a bit. It just looks really dark for me, but anyway, so yeah, I experimented with stitching, so I applied stitching to it. We've got the beading, and this is going to go on another project. So I just wanted to kind of complete that. But at the time I'd run out of this thread, so I needed to purchase some more. And so I've got this one, but as I say, it's 3-ply, whereas the embroidery thread is 6-ply. But even if you separate it out individually, one of these strands is still more stronger. One of these strands doubled, so 2-ply is still stronger than this embroidery thread, because I've been using it through fabric and it's kind of fraying a bit. So I'll still be able to use it. So I have this little pouch, as I say, and I can easily travel with this. This is like felt, so it's worked really well. They don't kind of move about. I can put the needles in there. And so one of the things that I would encourage you is to find something that, if you know, for your stitch projects. I mean, I'm still a novice. I'm, you know, not saying I'm an expert, but one of the things I found is having, for me, having a little system like this with thread that I can access has been really key. Now, if I'm in the studio, you know, I don't really need this because I've got my drawers with thread and stuff like that. So this is one that will go backwards and forwards, and if I'm working on a project, I can just put the corresponding thread that I need, and I've got everything here all in one place. Let me just put that in here actually. And then that sits in a bag. Oh, I've got some grey there. So the other thing I have in here is I was experimenting with wording and creating words, and so all I've done is written out in pencil, and when I've got a minute I can just sit, and if I haven't got a project I'm working on, or if I'm not necessarily feeling I need to work on a particular project, then I will, you know, start going around some of these words. And what I would use these for is eventually cut them out, or I haven't thought of whether I would dye this before I would cut them out, but it's got some encouraging words and reality arts as well, and different sizes, so that I can, you know, I can work on some different stitches, some smaller stitches with the smaller words, or I can, you know, work on a bigger stitch, or I can also, there's enough space to also you know, go around it, do patterns around it. And like with the star, I'm thinking I could actually make a star coming out, and then that would look nice on a project. So those are well, this is my kind of, as I said, my little travel kit, and it sits in this bag. Maybe I'll get a nice, or make actually, maybe I'll make a nice little bag for it. I've got so many different bags and supplies and things, but maybe I'll make something that it can sit in. And then the last thing that I usually have is a mini project on the go. So I've got this little one that's now waiting for its next stage, or maybe deciding to add, with the orange we've got in here, maybe add some splashes of this orange. I've got orange in here. I've got a red. So what I might do is take off some of this thread and put it in my mini kit. Okay, so that can go there, and when I'm ready I can just do a few stitches and see how it goes. So that's actually what we're gonna work on now. So we'll just do a little bit of stitching, and I will, if you've got a project you want to work on while we do this, I'll just find the right needle, you're welcome to join me. Now when I thread this, I don't double it, I just use it as is. So it's 3 ply and not 6. And depending on the fabric that you're using will determine, you know, how easy it is to go through. So let me just knot this off. And I'm just gonna allow us to use this time as a meditative process and work through this, do a bit of working through this, and we'll play some music. And I hope you find it relaxing. And all I'm going to do is go round and add some stitches to this. Now I will be having some fabric kits available, just some small kits available, and I've got a couple of courses coming out. I will, if you sign up to my mailing list, you'll be able to know when the courses are coming out. So we've got the fabric kits. It comes with a selection of handmade and vintage fabrics. Not handmade, it's hand stamped, hand stitched. I might have some stitched ones in there, but so similar to this, hand dyed. All these 4 pieces have been wax resist and dyed. And you'll, in the little kit, you'll get a selection of fabrics that you can work with. So let's get on. This is the last bit and the end of the thread, just the right amount. So you can take a small you know, selection of fabric pieces and have quite a meditative experience, just adding stitching to it and just allowing the colours, you know, what colours do you want to work with, what shape do you want to do, what kind of how do you want to bring out the wax resist patterns underneath, and have fun. So I hope that little tip may have helped. You know, have a sheet with some wording. Maybe you can, you know, write around the wording. You've got a pieces of fabric that you can work on and just stitch, and they can form part of a bigger piece, and having your little go-to kit that you can move around with and reach in and use any of the supplies that you want, but they can all sit in together and be this go-to travel fabric kit. So I hope you've found that useful, and I look forward to sharing with you next time.